Hello everyone. Welcome to AkshatLive. Myself Akshat, and today in my talk show we will discuss about why AMP for WordPress is important. AMP for WordPress is a web framework designed to make it easier to build user-first sites which are beautiful, fast, engaging, secure, and accessible. The official AMP plugin for WordPress enables you to incorporate AMP for WordPress into your site. The table of content which we'll be covering in this podcast is configuring your site with AMP, onboarding flow. Are you technical, developer, or technically savvy, non-technical savvy, or wanting a help? Standard mode of AMP for WordPress, transitional mode for AMP for WordPress, reader mode for AMP for WordPress. Is your site is ready? So our first topic is configuring your site with AMP. There are different ways in which you can incorporate AMP content into your site depending on its configuration. Example, which themes and or plugins are you using, your technical expertise, and the level of resources you may have for addressing AMP for WordPress compatibility issues as your site evolves. Opt for Design Tech 9 Studio to handle your website. Second topic, onboarding flow. The onboarding flow will guide you through the plugin configuration and getting started with AMP for WordPress on your site. Then, are you a technical? In order to recommend the best plugin configuration options for your site, please indicate your level of technical expertise. Developer or technically savvy? You are a developer or technically savvy. You are familiar with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP. You are able to do WordPress development, including making changes to themes and plugins, as well as assembling full WordPress sites out of plugins and theme components. You can understand and address AMP validation issues, then go for it. Using AMP is easy if you have technical background. Non-technically savvy or wanting a help, you are not a developer and you are not responsible for configuring and fixing issue on your site. You are a site owner and or create content creator who wants to take advantage of AMP to build user first sites. Then if you need someone for professional help, go for Design Tech 9 Studio. Standard mode of AMP for WordPress. In standard mode, your site will be completely AMP except in cases where you opt out of AMP for specific parts of your site and it will use a single theme. Standard mode is a good choice if your site uses an AMP compatible theme and only uses AMP compatible plugins. If you are not sure of the compatibility of your theme and plugin, read mode may be a better option. Transitional mode for AMP for WordPress. In transition mode, your site will have a non-AMP and an AMP version, and both will use the same theme. If the automatic mobile redirection is enabled, the AMP version of the content will be served on mobile devices. If AMP to AMP linking is enabled, once you are on an AMP page, they will continue navigating your AMP content. Transition mode is good choice if you are willing and able to address any issue around AMP compatibility that may arise as your site evolves. Reader mode for AMP for WordPress. In reader mode, your site will have a non-AMP and an AMP version, and each version will use its own theme. If the automatic mobile redirection is enabled, the AMP version of the content will be served on mobile devices. If AMP to AMP linking is enabled, once users are on an AMP page, they will continue navigating your AMP content. Reader mode makes it easy to bring AMP content to your site, but your site will use two different themes. Is your site is ready? Is your site is ready to serve AMP pages to your users? In standard mode, AMP first. All canonical users are AMP by default. You can still opt out of AMP for specific content types and templates from the AMP setting screen. Depending on the theme and plugin you are using, development work may be required to maintain your site's AMP compatibility. The AMP plugin landing page, ampwp.org, was built taking advantages of the AMP plugin itself. This means that the site benefits from all the optimizations and best practices. The plugin provides a outhouse box. For example, AMP avoids content shifts by design, so optimizing CLS is something you usually don't have to worry about. Let's take a look at how this site performs in regards to page experience by using the AMP page experience guide. Do you have any questions about AMP for WordPress? Ask away in the comments. Follow our Facebook page, Instagram, and YouTube, and Twitter also. You can also go through my website akshatlive.designtech9studio.in. Kindly drop your comments and let's discuss about the AMP for your WordPress. Thank you.